what did it take for you to get your house in order in the financial department in order to get to where you are today? Like, what did you do to educate yourself? Who did you surround yourself with to get this knowledge so you can get to where you are today?
So short answer is there wasn't like one person at the beginning. It was just like getting around people who were bragging more about the sacrifice than they were about the success. There's a lot of people like I was thinking like Trevor Cowley, for instance.
Mm,
He was always talking about what he wasn't doing more than what he was doing.
mm,
Right. And so like you start getting around people that start like celebrating. So this was a mindset shift that I had. I don't know if I heard this from somebody. I don't think I know I didn't make this up myself, but it's like the same elimination of enjoyment right now, whatever that is, the thing, the event, the drinking, the travel, the house, the cars, that elimination of short-term enjoyment can be looked at like a sacrifice or an investment. And that mindset shift for me, and I can't remember where I heard it. I mean, I definitely got it from somebody else. But it was like, if I look at not buying a car right now, if I look at it as a sacrifice, I'm pissed off by the car I have.
mm-hmm.
If I look at it as an investment in a future win, I'm excited about it, right? Because you typically want to make an investment you're excited about, right? Like you don't want to go invest in something you're not excited about. So like living in the townhouse for as long as I did, as much I fucking hated that townhouse.
Uh-huh.
You know I did.
Mm-hmm.
I hated it, but I loved what it represented. It was an investment in this house
Yeah.
because I couldn't picture this house
Mm-hmm.
when I was living in that investment. And so what I think the biggest mindset shift by being around people of real like levels is, you know, the amount of people that in day-to-day life talk about what they have as their measurement of success or cool or influence or authority. And you get in certain rooms where people are starting to like kind of celebrate the investments they're making in the future, i.e. eliminating short-term like joy or gain for
Yeah.
long-term success. You start to not feel as stupid by it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when we sold the house and moved to the townhouse, like everybody around us thought we're making a terrible decision.
Yeah. So hold on. Backtrack there. I think the listeners need to understand this point that you need to make, right? So talk about you getting rid of one house and moving into the townhouse, and also give the timing of it too.
All right, so Tiff and I, we started like planning and visualizing like early. We sucked at it, but we've been doing it for probably like 8 or 9 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got married in 2012, and like by 2015, we were tired of running the rigmarole, living paycheck to paycheck, right?
Yeah.
Like we were probably making 200-300 grand a year as a couple, like with never anything to show for it.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, we could do this better. And we started looking at, well, what does better mean to us? And I don't know how we knew to ask that. I had not been around this yet, but it was just like, I knew enough from sales because I was a sales and sales leadership that like, you have to have a measurable target. You can't just say better. Okay. Like I'm gonna have better sales this month. The fuck does that mean? Right? Like, no, like what are we going to do? Right. And so I knew enough from that environment in corporate America that like better had to have a some sort of reference.
Mm-hmm.
We started talking like, well, what do we want our lifestyle to look like? And early on, the list was very short. And one of the biggest things was Tiff graduated college with a substantial amount of student loan debt. And so one of the first things that went on the list is we want to be out of student loan debt.
Yeah.
And so when she turned 30, which was in 2019, I took her to Napa Valley for a week
Mm-hmm.
for her birthday. And I'm not going to say it sucked, but we learned a lot about what we value on that trip.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to a 3-star Michelin restaurant, and we spent $2,000 we didn't have on a meal that was supposed to blow our mind.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat there the whole time just being like, I wish we were at like Five Guys right now. Like, we're not even enjoying this. Like,
Yeah.
the food was incredible and memorable, but it was like, this is not who we are.
Mm.
And that really was like, that was supposed to be the trip. That was like it. Like,
Yeah.
I think we spent like 10 grand on that trip, which is the most I ever spent on a vacation my whole life. That was supposed to be the epitome of success, and we were not happy.
Mm.
We weren't miserable, but what we were recognizing is, what do we value?
Yeah.
And so we looked at our life, and on this trip, we like recognized a few things. We say we want to be out of debt, her student loan debt, but we're not actually doing anything about it. So we started looking like, what can we do? And I'm like, look, well, the business is doing this. Like, I'd love to be able to like invest more into growing the company, which means we need to live ideally on your income. Well, we can't do that with, like, we were spending like almost $3 grand a month just on student loan debt.
Yeah.
It was a fucking ton of it. So, well, what can we do? If this is, it came down to, and this was like, it gives me chills just saying that. If you say you want it and you're not doing everything to get it, you don't really want it.
Mm.
We had this list of what our lives could look like one day, but we weren't doing everything we could to get it. It was a huge, like, we literally decided on that trip, we looked at our life. And we had like a 3,200 square foot house on a half an acre with a big, beautiful backyard, a covered porch. Like, it was a really, really nice house. And we had a ton of equity.
Mm-hmm.
On that trip, we decided, well, we have like almost 200 grand in equity. Why don't we sell the house? And in that moment, we said we could take that 200 grand and put it down towards a dream house, quote unquote, or we pay off the debt. We looked at each other, we pay off the debt. And in that moment, it became a non-decision. If we say we want these things in our life, then we have to take these actions. We don't have a choice.
Yep.
Or we're hypocrites to our own dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And so the minute we made that decision, it went from the house that was our first house together that both our sons were born in. The business had just started. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I'm like, why do we need 3,200 square feet? Those sons of bitches are never more than 3 feet fucking away from me. They're always right there. I don't care if I'm in the shower, I'm taking a shit, I'm trying to eat breakfast. Those motherfuckers are right there.
Yep.
Why do we need all this space? We don't.
Mm.
We said, we'll sell it. And like, I'll never forget, like, we sold the house, got the, it was like $189,000 deposited into our account, and we spent every fucking penny of it in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Paid this off, paid this off, paid this off, paid this off. We paid like $200,000 worth of debt off like that. And then we bought a townhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And we went from like 3,200 square feet to like 2,200 square feet, no yard, no nothing. And we were like, this is the investment we're making so that we can live off Tiff's income.
Yeah.
So that I can go give everything I want into the business. And then fucking 3 months later, COVID shows up and I lose everything. If we would not have made that fucking decision, I would have went bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an exaggeration. Like, I went from making money to losing 5 to 10 grand a month overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Over fucking night. You were there. You watched it all happen.
Yep. That's why I asked. That's why I wanted you to get into this.
If we would not have made that decision to prioritize our dreams over the opinion of everybody else, including us,
Yeah.
that was the trick. Is do we really want new cars right now, or do we want to be out of debt? Because what do we really want? We really want to be out of debt. Well, then I can drive this car. There's nothing wrong with this car. I don't fucking work out of my office at home. I don't even need this. I dropped my office that I was working. I started working from home. Like, we made every investment, AKA sacrifice, in order to build what we wanted our way. And, one thing led to the next. The business grew. Lifestyle grew. We said we'll be here for 2 to 3 years. We were there for like 2.5. And the crazy thing is, like, this is nuts. The timing of it all, right? It's amazing how the universe delivers when you grasp your dreams when it shows it to you. This is the part that I think a lot of people underestimate. When you say you want something and the universe puts it right in front of you and you hesitate to grab it, the universe doesn't believe you anymore. It'll stop bringing you what you want. And so when we bought this house, we were not prepared to move away from Charlotte. We were not prepared to spend the money we spent on this. But we had a vision board. We had a vision board we built over the last 3 years of what our ideal life/house would look like. All of it. Bedroom, style, colors, backyard, front yard. Like, we had pictures on this board. We took a refrigerator box and turned it into a vision board. We looked at it every day. We added shit to it as we thought about it. And when we came to look at this house, it checked almost every box.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at Tiff because we weren't prepared to move 2 hours away. But I'm like, this is what the universe is delivering to us because of the investments we've made for the last 3 years. We have to buy this house.
Yeah.
We have to at least try to buy this house. And it worked out. But that decision to move in that townhouse as a business owner who was presenting himself as a really good business coach, I felt like such a fucking imposter most days. I'm like, I almost like hid the fact that I was living in a townhouse because, like, what successful business coach lives in a fucking townhouse? And like, none of my clients cared. They just wanted the fucking advice, right? Because the advice works. Like, I'm good at what I do, and I know that much.
Yeah, you resonate with me.
Clients didn't care.
Yeah,
but my opinion of the audience mattered probably more than it needed to, but it did.
I want to share something here real quick because it's important. Because I feel you, and I don't think I've ever shared this with you. I felt the same way at my New York home. I lived in a 2,400 square foot house, and the house was built in, I think, 1961. The original kitchen was still in that house when I sold it.
Did you even fit in it?
You're
How they made them as big as you back in 61?
My point here is, like, I was very cautious and conscious. So if I was recording a video in the house or taking photos or putting stuff online, I would refuse to have the ugly ass old brown fucking stale looking wood cabinets in the background. Right. And the other rooms in the house had been redone, or I had redone or repainted or put new molding up while I was there. But that kitchen was one of those that, like, I just never had the budget to go do it. And I never changed it.
You waited for the cost of construction to come down one day?
No, I said this is going to be the next person's problem, not mine. But that right there was imposter syndrome for me, because I'm in the same situation. I'm over here coaching at a very high level. I got a bunch of people who make more fucking money than I've ever seen in my life who are
Yep.
coming to me for perspective. And I got this shitty ass looking old kitchen over here. Right. So I wanted to basically make a point here on the episode. Like, you faced that. I faced that. And then if someone's listening to this, I'm sure they faced it, or are possibly facing it now. Like, that's fucking cool. It's okay. It's part of it. Like, don't be ashamed of it, and don't let that hold you back.
Yeah, it's the chip on the shoulder of the townhouse actually made me want to sacrifice slash invest more. Because, like, if I'm gonna fucking live here,
Mhm.
I'm gonna do everything right. Because I want to get out of here as fast as I possibly can to the step that I want next,
Yeah.
right? And so the chip on my shoulder about the property actually forced me to make other decisions more intentionally as well. Because we had plenty of fucking money. I mean, I was making, like, our overhead was like maybe 7 grand a month as a family. At that point, I was probably doing 30, 40 grand a month. And, like, I still lived at that level. I'm like, I'm not spending a fucking dime. We didn't go on a vacation that year. We didn't buy new cars that year. We didn't do shit. Because I was like, if I'm going to make this sacrifice and dislike being here, I'm going to do everything I can to get out of here when the time is right. And it worked.